Get ready. It's time for the Idaho Podcast with your host, Danny Ventura. Welcome to the Idaho Podcast, where we feature the people who live, work, and play in Idaho. Thanks for being with us today. My guest is Victoriah Madrigal. And Victoria is the current reigning Miss of America who actually represents the state of Idaho. Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad. Thank you. So we always start with your Idaho story, Victoria. What is your Idaho story?
So I was born and raised in Idaho. I was born in Meridian. I grew up here. I graduated high school from Meridian Medical Arts Charter High School. Spent a lot of my summers and weekends up in Emmett because my great-grandmother and great-aunt live up there. I think Idaho is the best place to grow up for youth, and I owe a lot of my success to the environment that I was raised in. All the schools I went to, I participated in a lot of clubs. I was in Key Club, HOSA, Job's Daughters, and I think all those individual facets of my early childhood led to successful development for myself, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that part of your story. So what keeps you in Idaho? There are so many places in the world and in the United States. What is keeping you in Idaho?
You know, I travel a lot and I see a lot of the things that different states have to offer, but there's nothing quite like Idaho and the unique sense of community that it has. My family is also here. I'm a very family-oriented person, and I really think I would love to give my kids the same opportunities I had growing up one day, so I think that's why I've chosen to stay here and why I would love to settle here and have my roots here.
That's fantastic. It's a beautiful state. So you are the reigning Miss of America. You were just crowned in July. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you were representing the state of Idaho, which is super exciting. So that makes it even more important for us to have you on the show. I'm going to read this here because this is the mission of the American pageants. And of course, I couldn't keep it memorized. But the mission of American pageants is rooted in encouraging young women to reach their full potential by recognizing scholastic excellence, community service, personal development, awareness of social issues, and effective communication skills. Former title holders are honored for their contributions to building a legacy of empowerment, while current participants are encouraged to lead through partnership with Special Olympics, ensuring a brighter future where achievement and inclusion thrive. I love that mission. And so what led you to be involved in the Miss of America pageant, and how long have you been participating in pageants, or is this your first one? And then what inspires you, your involvement in them?
I actually love sharing this story because I think it highlights the sense of sisterhood and support that American Pageants has for its title holders. In 2022, I believe, I competed for Miss Idaho in the Miss America system, and the girl who won was Sarah Jensen, and she was a former Miss of America with American Pageants. And after her win, they congratulated her on Instagram and shared a post, and she shared it, and as a follower of hers, I saw that. And I just thought it was so amazing that they were so supportive of a former title holder who, although she wasn't involved with American Pageants anymore, she's still gone on to be involved in pageantry, and they continue to support her on her path. And I just thought that was amazing, and I knew I wanted to be there. This year was my second time competing with American Pageants, also my second time representing Idaho. I competed last summer and had such an amazing experience, and I think it was a huge growth and learning opportunity for me. And so I knew I wanted to come back this year, and I really brought my A game and prepared a lot, and I was very proud. I won the interview award as well. And when I won, I just couldn't believe it. The other girls who were up on the stage with me, it was the top three. I kept telling them, both of you are going to do amazing. You're going to be great Miss of Americas. Like, it's going to be one of you. I was just really, in my heart, I knew it was one of them. So when they called my name, I was shocked. And if you watch the video, I'm so shocked I forget to hug them. And then they come out with my sash, and one of the girls is walking away. And I'm like, wait, I forgot to hug you. So you see me walk across the stage to hug her first before I get crowned, which I think is so hilarious, but also shows, how supportive the system is and how we grow to bond and form friendships with each other during competition week.
Mm-hmm. So what led you to the actual Miss of America? You shared some of that, but really what was it that impressed you that this is something I really want to be a part of?
I think their scoring system, honestly, a large majority of pageants have scores that are dependent upon looks, and I'm not the most traditional pageant participant. So I thought it was amazing, first of all, that while the evening gown competition is scored, none of that is based on your appearance or the appearance of your gown. It's about your confidence and your poise. I was also amazed by the large weight that your resume had in the scoring because it's 45%, although it's 3 different ones that are 15% each overall. So the resume is 45%, and because it's weighed so heavily, I really took that to heart and thought that they really wanted someone who, at the core of who they are, is an amazing person in their community, in school, at work, and everywhere where they're making an impact. So I just thought that was the right system for me because that is something I was looking to do, and I loved the environment overall.
I really appreciate that answer too, because for a while there, so many pageants they got a bad name because it seemed so surface level, and I love to hear that it's the depth, it's the character, it's the accomplishments of the person, and it's more of a, I won't say it's a meritocracy, but it is certainly more merit driven as opposed to looks driven.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about that.
And I love that scoring system. But no matter what, all the girls that compete are beautiful inside and out.
Of
I just
course,
love
sure.
that their accomplishments, in community, in service, in school are highlighted more nowadays. And that's why I chose that system specifically.
Sure. Well, you mentioned the rigor of, and I was so impressed when you shared this with me a few weeks ago. When I read through it, honestly, I was taken aback because I was really shocked by the rigorous expectations. And I'm going to read through some of this if the listeners don't mind. So the judging criteria is uniquely designed to ensure a balanced evaluation focused on achievement. The resume portion alone is 45% of the criteria or the judging. Candidates submit 3 resumes evaluating personal development of talents and skills, service and achievements in school and community, and scholastic and professional record. Then the general awareness test is valued at 15%, which is a multiple choice test measuring knowledge of current events and critical thinking. And then personality projection and poise in evening wear, which is 15%. And the candidates present themselves in formal wear, showcasing competence and clear communication, which I think is so important because communication can be lacking today, especially in your generation because you're growing up with social media, which they didn't have that in my day. So I think it's so great that they're emphasizing how important communication is, and you're a wonderful communicator.
Oh, thank you.
So, and then the interview process, which is 25% of the scoring, and it's a private interview that allows the judges to assess candidates' personality and qualifications based on submitted your resumes that you had to submit. And then during the final show, candidates recompete in evening wear and answer an onstage interview question that's derived from your resume, right? So what was that process like? Like I said, you had to do 3 different resumes, and take us through that a little bit.
I think when you read it off a piece of paper, it sounds so intense. But for me, it's so fun. I mentioned earlier that in high school, one of the competitive events I did was job seeking skills where we make a resume and we're interviewed. So I think that translated very well to pageantry, especially American pageants with the 3 resumes. I had so much fun. Resumes for pageants are like bragging rights. It's like what makes me amazing, and you get to put it on paper and show off to the judges. So I think that's one of my most skilled areas. I think it's one of the areas that also makes me the most confident because it's like, here I am. You get 3 whole pages to learn how amazing I am, how much I do, and how smart I am. So it gives me a sense of confidence. And evening gown, I love evening gown. I'm a shopper. So I told myself this year, I was going to reuse my dress from last year, but I did not.
Okay. Well.
I love shopping for evening gown. That is one of the highlights of pageants, I think, for any girl, because you pick a dress that makes you feel confident and beautiful. I also love thrifting my dresses. I am a huge thrifter. I found my evening gown on Facebook Marketplace for $40.
Oh, wow.
So that was a huge win for me. But overall, the process was amazing. I love interview every year because I always feel it's just like a conversation with the judges and sharing why I'm great and why I should be Miss America. And I think because it's tailored off your resume, it makes everyone more comfortable. And one of the unique things about American pageants is that you'll never be asked political questions during your interview, which I think gives everyone also a sense of relaxation because it's just about you. They just want to know you better. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. So 45% of the criteria is really based on the resume. So you must be a pretty strong writer, or do you use AI, or what?
I don't believe there's any rules in our pageant about using AI, but to me that feels wrong. So
Yeah.
I did not use any AI in my process. I want to win because I'm a great writer
Sure.
and I represent myself well, not because Chat GPT can make me a good resume, you know? Although I do love AI for other things like writing emails and stuff, but I personally think that AI on one hand is good, on the other it's should be kept to limited use. And I personally will never use it for pageants or school or things that are graded based off of my performance. It should be
Sure.
my performance, not AI performance.
Right. So I'm going to put you in a position where it's not, it's probably not the most humble thing I'm going to ask you,
it's okay.
because I'm going to ask you to be a little braggadocious of yourself. But we're going to say it's okay right now to be braggadocious. So what are some of the things in your resume that you believe were the highlights that led to you being selected as Miss of America?
I think one of the highlights was my educational resume. I talked about how I had dropped out of college my first year attending. I started going to college in 2020. So that rough year with COVID and
Right.
everything. I really couldn't afford it also. So I stopped going for 3 years, which I fully admitted it's okay to
Sure.
admit you take a break from college. I was very proud to go back, and I was very proud to be the first college graduate in my family, which I shared proudly on my resume.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I also shared my plans to go back for a master's degree, which I think helped me. I included the school clubs and councils I was part of on my resume as well, which I'm hoping to return to once I re-enroll for my master's degree. My community involvement, I think one of the things that made me unique was I founded an Idaho pageant community group. Idaho is not known for being a huge pageant state, and I was struggling to find events to go to as Miss of Idaho. So I made a group hoping that I could connect with other title holders amongst different systems, and we could all share, hey, I'm doing this in 2 weeks. Hey, I'm doing this next weekend. Who wants to join me? You know, and make it sort of a community effort to make the most of our years together. And that so far has been very successful, and I've found multiple events through there, and I hope to continue to grow it. I also shared about hobbies because one of our resumes is personal development. So I took that as how am I developing myself personally in my interest. Talked about my baking because I love baking. I got a bread machine for Christmas and I am obsessed. So I was unapologetically me, even if it was stuff that was silly, like, you know, creating a custom content organizer for my Sims 4 video game. Like that's me. So of course I'm gonna put it on paper, you know?
Sure.
Oh.
What type of baking do you like to do? You mentioned bread,
Okay,
but I mean,
yeah.
what else? Anything else?
Mostly bread. I love throwing random stuff in there and seeing if it'll actually make a loaf. I'm like, what's the worst that'll happen? You know, it's just flour.
Yeah, right. That's fun. Well, my daughter-in-law Natalie, she's really into making sourdough bread,
Oh, my
and I'm really into her into being into sourdough bread because we get to enjoy it. But
I love
it's so
sourdough.
delicious.
My boyfriend's sister is like the sourdough goddess of Idaho, I swear. I got a starter from her and I tried really hard to keep it going. I even named it Dobra.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
everyone names their starter. I forget the name for her starter, but that's pretty funny.
unfortunately, Dobra died. And then
yeah.
I got Dobra 2. Dobra 2 also is gone. RIP.
Oh, whoopsie.
But, you know, I'll leave the sourdough baking up to her because she's great at it and I love to eat her bread. So it's a win-win.
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing that part of the resume section because that's impressive, and I wanted to be able to share that with our listeners as well. So thanks for doing that. So share your feelings. What was it like in July? What was the feeling like to actually win?
It was just shock and awe. I think it didn't like really click until that night. I went to a hotel with my boyfriend. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's like a stereotypical like pageant post-winning photo. It's like you're laying in bed and you're holding your crown, like pretending to sleep. We set up the whole hotel bed just for me to take that photo, and that's when it really set in because I'm like, I've always wanted to take one of these photos. But when it happened, I was shocked and awe. I'm like, oh gosh, this isn't happening. I'm dreaming. I think it was very unexpected. I don't know. It just shock.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think that's the best way to describe it. We went through practice and we all practiced being crowned to do it right. And I forgot everything we learned in practice. I'm like, oh my God, where do I go? What do I do? Where am I standing?
and it's only been just over a month.
I know.
So are you adjusting now, or has reality set in?
It has set in. I am so grateful and thankful for this experience, and I'm just happy to make the most of my year. My college asked to interview me next month. We have our college commencement, which that's me actually walking the stage for my bachelor's degree, which I'm so excited about.
Congratulations for that as well.
But they asked to interview as one of their accomplished alumni. I think it's been amazing that in all aspects of my life, everyone and every organization has been so supportive of my win and helping me further my goals. And I'm just excited to see where I'm going to go this year.
Well, I'm excited to see too. Since being crowned, you've spearheaded the continued establishment of the Little Free Libraries. And so I don't know if our listeners are aware of Little Free Libraries. I would love for you to share what that's all about. What is the purpose of the libraries? And then to what extent is your involvement?
Little free libraries are literally little free libraries that people build in communities and parks and neighborhoods. The whole point of them is take a book, leave a book. Initially, they'll be stocked full of any books you can imagine, and maybe you're walking your dog one day and you stumble upon one, and oh hey, there's that book I really want to read that I haven't gotten yet, and you take it, and maybe next time you're out walking your dog, you bring a book to help restock it. I love them because I think they can be a great literacy tool for youth. A lot of times, youth literacy rates are hindered because of access to books, which is unfortunate. But I think because they're free and they're accessible, they can help increase the literacy rates of everyone, but especially youth, because a lot of them are centered in locations like parks and elementary schools and neighborhoods. And I think that's an amazing tool we can use, especially because Idaho is unfortunately ranked so low when it comes to education. And that's why I really wanted to help support them. I love them growing up. It was always so exciting to find them on the way home and grab something. I still use them as an adult. Whenever I see them, I always hope to find something good. My goal for Little Free Libraries in my community is I'd love to see every elementary school in the West Ada School District have one. I've sent out emails to principals inquiring about if they have one in their location, and if not, if they'd be open to a partnership where I come in, help them build one. I would love to see that happen throughout my year. Unfortunately, it's school season, so I have not heard back yet, but I am thinking that once, school starts, then I can start.
They're kind of like oversized bird like houses in
That
a
is
way,
the best way to describe it.
right? But
Yeah.
and then they have the glass door or what have you. And
But they do that to protect the books with inclement water and stuff. I love all the different designs on them. I think they're so cute.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part about building them is picking the design and colors. Personally, I'm a pink fan, so hopefully one of the elementary schools I partner with would be open to pink.
Sure. We could use one in this community. I'd have to get our HOA approval, but I would love to see one in this community. Maybe I can have you help us do
I
that.
would love that. That would be amazing.
Well, good. What do you hope to achieve now during your reign? So you're 1 month into this, right? I assume it's a 1-year title?
Yes,
okay.
1 year.
So what do you hope to achieve and what are your goals?
I just hope to make the most and say yes to every opportunity that is presented to me. I'm open to any partnership, any community service, anything, anywhere. You ask me and I will be there. I'm really trying to promote American Pageants. It's an amazing organization, but numbers have dropped over the years. Pageantry is not as popular as it once was, but I think it's a great self-improvement and scholarship organization. So I am hoping through all my travels, I can spread the word about American Pageants and make an impact.
That's great. So we've been talking a lot about the pageantry and your reign and crown as Miss of America. But let me talk a little bit about you and even your own personal accomplishments through your career. You are a graduate of Western Governors University with a degree in Health and Human Services, and you'll be pursuing your master's degree here in the fall, as you mentioned. But you currently are a telehealth specialist at St. Luke's Health System. Tell us a little bit about that, and what is the role of a telehealth specialist for those who may not know?
So I work in what's called a virtual care center. That means all the care we do is virtual, which I think is amazing in the 21st century. There's multiple roles. We have epilepsy monitoring, we have oxygen monitoring, heart rate, cardiac monitoring, as well as patient safety monitoring, which I think are all amazing that we've virtualized those roles in this type of, climate and world. So my role during the day is I monitor those patients based on whatever need they have. So one day I can be monitoring them for epileptic activity. One day I can be monitoring them for cardiac activity. Maybe I'm monitoring them just because they pull out their IV, stuff like that. I think it's a great role. I think it's amazing that these things can be virtual and it really makes things accessible wherever they are. staffing used to be an issue for these roles when they were in person, but now that we're virtual, I can watch multiple patients up to, 12 or 30, depending on what role I'm taking on specifically. So I think it's amazing that we're now giving broader access of these services to patients because we're not limited or capped by staffing issues, which is amazing.
It is amazing. So you can essentially monitor up to 30 patients virtually. Then are you in communication with the local nurses or the local medical staff?
I think it's so cool, the technology that we have. We have iPhones, and we basically sign into the rooms, and everyone who's part of that patient's care team will be signed into the room virtually as well. So say if there's a medical emergency that's happening, or maybe they need assistance with something, we can reach out to their bedside staff who is on the physical side of that patient's care team and get it handled.
And when you're doing that, do you work remotely from home? Are you just monitoring from home, or you have to report?
Unfortunately, I'm not working from home.
Okay.
I work at the Plaza downtown, but it's a beautiful location, and I think it's great that we work in person. At first, I wasn't too sure about it, but I think my coworkers are amazing, and I actually look forward to working in person now because of the connections I've made. So I think all in all, it's a pretty great role for myself.
Yeah, that's great. And then as you pursue your master's degree in healthcare administration, what do you hope to do with that, and what are your future aspirations in the healthcare field?
I would love to be a manager of a health clinic that serves underserved populations. That would be my end-all, be-all goal. However, I'm happy to take roles along the way that, are stepping stones and help me become the best healthcare leader I can be and teach me valuable lessons and skills.
That's excellent. So we always finish the show with the tip of the show, which is the acronym for the Idaho podcast. So Victoria, what is your tip for our listeners today?
I think my tip today is to never say no to any opportunity that presents itself to you, because you never know what you may end up with at the end.
Never say no. That was well said. So never say no to certain opportunities, because you just never know. You're right. And you also don't know how many lives you're going to touch through that opportunity, not just your own, right? So that's terrific. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. You're such an impressive young lady.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to have met you and get to know you better. And I wish you nothing but the best, not only in your career, but also as your reign as Miss of America for the next 11 months. I'm sure you're going to do wonderful things. I can't wait to hear about them. And I am going to follow up on the little library, possibly for this community. I think that would be a really cool thing. But thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Idaho Podcast. Be sure to check us out on the idahopodcast.com, where you'll see lots of our latest resources as well as our current shows. Hope you have a great week. Take care.